the House of Horrors. I mean, this is everybody's worst nightmare to find out that 16 children were held in a house where nobody knew that 16 children were living.
Yeah.
And with very abusive, very terrible, just awful conditions.
Are these kidnapped kids?
Well, we have our official attorney, Lisa Lanier, on the phone to break down this story. Lisa, good morning. I know that you have been very, very into this. How terrible.
Oh, I mean, it is horrifying, and yes, I am obsessed with it because it is just it's unimaginable, and something about that. I think it's the same thing that makes us like true crime, Katie, right? I mean, It's like you're kind of horrified, but also drawn into it because you just want to understand, right? Like why this happened, how this could happen. And so what we're finding out is, right, just like you said, so there were two adult couples living in the house. So, and now we're learning a lot from this other relative that is the brother-in-law. He's come forward, this guy, Ronnie Fletcher. He was married to one of the daughters of the older couple. So Gary Sides Sr. and his wife, Lynn, live there. So Gary Sides Sr. is the guy, if you've seen the pictures, that his eyes kind of go in different directions, and he looks really scary.
Oh, gross.
Okay. So that's like grandpa and grandma if you had like a more normal family, right? And then, so his son, Gary Jr., is in the household, and his wife, Elizabeth, presumably they are the parents of all of these 16 children. But it's a crazy story. Elizabeth started seeing Junior when she was 13 years old. She married him at 15, and she was 7 months pregnant. She went to West Virginia, where you could get married at 15.
Katie shows the picture of the older grandpa and grandma couple.
Looks exactly like you would.
You shouldn't profile, but I'd arrest them on the spot.
I mean, exactly.
Because there's something wrong.
We should not profile, but that's exactly what I expected.
But the parents have a bad picture, too.
Yes.
They all look drugged out.
Yeah, the parents don't look that great either. So the reason police discovered all of this was they came to serve a warrant for 4 counts of indecent exposure against Junior. And when they came to the house, they were like, oh, my gosh. I mean, it's horrifying. I posted 20-some pictures of it. There was stuff piled up everywhere. Like you can see inside the house, just junk, like piled everywhere. The authorities said that the children were covered in feces and there was bacteria everywhere. 2 of the children had to be airlifted because they were in critical condition. 1 remains in critical condition.
Oh.
7 total kids were hospitalized. They were what authorities described them as feral. They were like wild animals. They did not know how to read and write. The 18-year-old, so they range in age from 18 months to 18 years. The 18-year-old is the one that Elizabeth was pregnant with when she got married in West Virginia at 15. That child cannot spell her own name.
Oh my
She's 18.
And she's 18 years old. That is how illiterate these kids are. Okay, here's where you should play the siren about, like, if you got small kids in the car.
Yes, we will. Hold on.
Give me 1 second.
Right.
We were debating it.
Yeah, Jared did actually, and I was like, oh, well.
I'm getting ready to go there. So
okay.
All right, hold on. Let me play it for you. See, even Lisa knows about her.
She does. You do know, Lisa.
Warning, warning, warning. If you have young kids in the car, turn down your radio. Warning, repeat, warning. Adult content ahead in 3, 2, 1.
All right, Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So authorities believe that as they continue this grand jury investigation, that they are going to uncover incest and child molestation within the home.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Because they're calling it an intra-family abuse investigation, which that usually is like the authorities' code word for their like child rape or incest or child molestation within the family. And so that is being investigated. So what happened? So they arrested these folks, all 4 of them. They are charged with 16 counts of child endangerment. Each count is a second-degree felony punishable by up to 12 years in prison. So multiply that times 16. They're facing a lot of time in prison. The children have been taken into protective custody. 2 remain in the hospital, 1 remains in the hospital. The rest, they've all been taken into protective custody. and they don't know what to do with them. Like they're going to have to find a special facility for these kids because they've been so abused and they are so illiterate. And so in this house that I posted photos of the house, it looks like an abandoned farmhouse or something, and it has multiple sections, but you couldn't even walk around in a lot of it. And the children were confined to a 12 by 12 space. 16 kids.
All 16?
All 16 kids.
Yes.
Like locked?
In a 12, yeah. They just said confined. So I don't know if that was like doors were locked or if it was just because there was so much trash in the house that you couldn't really go anywhere else. But it described them as being confined. Occasionally, the presumed father of these kids, Junior, would take one of the children with him when he would go to like the Dollar General. And the lady that checked him out at the Dollar General said, this child looked really malnourished and smelled really horrible, but she didn't really, she didn't know how to do anything about it or that she should do anything about it. Like she was skinny, but maybe she's just a skinny kid who's dirty,
Yeah.
But anybody that saw the family said that they smelled bad. And I mean, even the adults smelled bad. But these folks lived there. They went grocery shopping. They went to the Dollar General. They had like Uber Eats delivered to their house. I mean, it was clear that somebody lived there, but nobody knew that what was really going on inside.
And then the adults aren't malnourished, but all the kids are.
Well, the adults are not at all malnourished. Right, exactly.
They're
just on drugs,
very
clearly.
malnourished.
Drugs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a grand jury that's been convened, and there's an ongoing investigation. They're being held on a $300,000 bond.
That's
the
it?
grandfather, the senior guy, well, they can't post it, so they're going to be stuck here.
Okay.
Thankfully. But the older senior, he had a medical emergency while in the jail, so he's been transferred to the hospital, but the other three are just remaining in the jail. And they moved they lived in like 4 cities in the last few years, and once in another state. And they moved all the time to evade, to sort of stay off the radar, like, so that people didn't make them, because none of the kids had ever been enrolled in school, and they wanted to keep that off the radar. And so they moved all the time. It was just
these poor kids.
Unbelievable.
Was it her kids, their kids, or were they kidnapped? Or
no, they were all theirs. It's like they
think they were all theirs.
She had 16 kids.
She had 16 kids. She also had twins that died right after birth.
Oh my
God! Not only twins, Lisa.
Conjoined
twins.
Conjoined
this is
twins.
made for. I mean, this is definitely going to be some horror movie at some point.
But why were they doing that? Why would the parents want just keep having kids to put them in a?
They're mentally ill and
evil
and insane. Yeah, I mean, they're not thinking with any sort of brain whatsoever at all.
And sometimes you have sort of a cult mentality that can happen with a family like this, and there are a lot of people who believe that Elizabeth, who was dating this man, the boy, since she was 13, he was 16, she was 13, but a lot of folks believe that she was brainwashed, and she's still going to be held culpable for this. But her attorney and the old man senior's attorney, they have both requested that they have psychiatric evaluations in order to determine if they're competent to stand trial. So that tells you that they came off as pretty darn crazy to their attorneys.
Well, and if you think about how it's at 13 years old, yes, this woman is the mother now of all of these children, but she was 13, younger than her oldest living in that house.
Right.
When all of this
started. She got
started.
pregnant at 14,
yes.
Sounds like.
So at 13, it's like she didn't know what she was doing and what she was getting into, and probably was, I know by a 16-year-old that her husband or whatever we want to call him is 16, but it's like they both don't know at that age what it is that they're getting into, and maybe they're being told to, I don't know. The whole thing is sick.
And then there's people out there who can't have kids.
Right.
And these trashy people these evil people are having 18 kids.
Do you think that this couple, if they get evaluated for mental disorders, do you think they will still face prison time, or will they go to a psychiatric ward?
So in all likelihood, what would happen would be that they would go to a psychiatric ward until they were deemed, if they were deemed cured, then they would go serve out a prison sentence. That's the way it works most of the time now.
Oh, I see.
It used to be, decades ago, that you could use your lack of competence to completely evade any kind of real punishment for your crime. But nowadays, it's more like, well, we'll treat your mental illness and then you can go serve your time.
Yeah.
Well, if you are mentally ill, I guess the thought was it's not your fault because it's genetically mentally ill.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But you have to be so mentally ill that you literally can't function. Like, you can't understand right from wrong. You can't.
I see.
And the fact that they were feeding themselves. They were buying Uber Eats. They were,
that's true.
And then moving to evade certain people, not putting them in school,
exactly.
so they're staying off the radar. So that shows some premeditation and post-meditation, I guess.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing that will be used to show that they really were perfectly competent and understood.
I've been in the legal system for a while now, Lisa. I'm starting to learn all the things.
Lisa, though, can you see or maybe I don't know if this is going to weigh in any sort of way, but like, because they were so young, 13 and 16 when this all started, does more of it fall on the older parents? The couple that was in the house, do you think?
It's really going to depend on, they're going to interview these kids. They're going to interview all of the adults that participated. And it will really depend on kind of who was running the show. And I think, to your point, that especially Elizabeth may come out of it a little bit lighter if it can be shown that she was basically an abused child also.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you think
which
that
is what her family is saying?
all the kids are going to... Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just think, do you think all the kids and maybe everybody here, do you think they're going to have permanent mental problems for the rest of their lives?
Yes.
Oh, man.
100%.
I would think so.
Some of the younger ones might be able to escape, but that's also those early years up till 5 or 6 are so important.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 18-month-old, might not remember any of this, but
they're going to get split up. There's no way there's going to be a family that's going to take all 16.
Yeah. And the fact that they don't...
And a lot of them aren't really fit for foster care. They were saying that there would probably be some kind of institutional care that would have to be undertaken because they're so feral. They're just like wild animals.
So do you think that these people, all these people probably will just die in prison or a mental institution? The adults.
Yeah, I would think that these people are going to go away for the rest of their lives, especially Gary Sr. 73, his wife Lynn is 67. Interestingly, they both come from really big families, and so these extended families in Ohio are facing a huge backlash. And so like this guy that came forward and gave this interview that gave us a lot of insight into this, he was saying that he's having death threats. His children are having threats. They've had to hide. They're not going to work. Their kids are not going to school. And people are blaming them and being like, this was your. So Gary Sr. was his father-in-law, and he's like, how could you not know that this was going on? But what all these family members are saying is that these people were estranged from their extended family, which makes sense.
Yeah, and you're not talking to them, and even family members that get along well, if they live a different place. I know with social media and stuff, you still might not know exactly what's going on,
especially if they're not allowed outside.
Yeah,
none of the kids are allowed to roam around
or do anything or school. They're probably not obviously posting things on. So it gets. Well, Lisa, we'll follow this story. It's horrible about these poor kids, and to me, just go ahead and kill all 4 of the adults. That's what I would say. But maybe it's too easy of a punishment.
Yeah.
When you hurt kids, man, that makes me sick.
And in a weird way, I also feel for this other, for the mom and dad, not for the grandma and grandpa or whoever the older couple, not for them.
For them. They're the ones that contributed.
In a way, because she was 13.
Mm-hmm.
Right from wrong when you're 13.
But also you have no rights. At 13, you don't get to just decide what it is you want to do. And then all of a sudden you're pregnant by a 16-year-old.
I wonder who are her parents.
It's like, what? I don't know.
Well, her parents, I read an interview with her parents who said she was basically a pretty normal kid until she got with this guy, and she started having sex with him at 13, and they tried, like a lot of parents, they tried, who have, a teenager that's acting out, and they tried to put a stop to it. And when she wanted to she came to them and said, look, I am pregnant, and I am going to run away with this guy unless you go and, sign for me, consent for me in West Virginia to marry him. And she said, if you don't do that, I'm running away and you'll never see me again and you'll never see this baby. And so they kowtowed to it.
It's just a messed up situation all around.
It's rough. And then it's West Virginia, so it's probably a little bit normal at the time. But, there's a lot of those jokes with the incest. It's horrible.
But it's all...
Oh, no, it's terrible. And I don't think...
But of course they're from West Virginia.
West Virginia has always allowed younger people to get married, but not for this kind of thing.
Terrible. All right, Lisa, it's a horrific story, and Katie, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But it's all about what they knew, and then you did it for 20 years.
20 years.
But yeah, you know,
But then
because
if
there
you
are also
feel-
people who get pregnant at 14, 15,
Yes.
and they're not destroying and abusing their kids.
But like if you
Right.
feel the like how we talked about in the beginning, I'm not defending it. I'm really not.
yeah.
It's just a part of me is like, yes, I think that they are mentally ill. There is some sort of cultish something.
Mm-hmm.
There's control. Clearly, you're not allowed to just walk away from that house. It's just it's a
house of
horrible.
horrors. It really
And
is.
it's like the biggest nightmare to if you're one of their neighbors. And I know that it was a farmhouse
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, but you think, how did we not know?
That's the scary thing is
And
there's
this-
stuff going on probably in every city that's like, if we only knew.
The kids probably, I don't know if they were not allowed to go out, but even if they did go out of the house, it's in the middle of nowhere. They
Yeah.
wouldn't know
Yeah.
what to do. Even if they walked
They wouldn't know what to
100
do,
yards,
where to
they
go.
wouldn't-
They can't read or
The
write.
little town had like 400 people living there, and it
Yeah.
was in the middle of nowhere. And one neighbor was interviewed, and he said, "I actually didn't know anybody was there. I thought it was abandoned."
Wow.
And he just thought because there was so much trash, so the house was filled with trash. But then they also were pitching huge piles of trash into the yard, and he just thought it was abandoned. That somebody had like maybe tried to clean it out and put, piled these trash piles out in the yard. But he literally nobody. And apparently, like, they really didn't go outside. The kids didn't go outside. I don't think Elizabeth, like, to your point about was she controlled, I don't think she went out much. But mainly the dad of these kids, Junior, went out. He was the one that was mostly spotted around town, like at the Dollar General.
Wow. Well, Lisa, thank you for breaking that down for us. And, yeah, we'll keep track of this story because there's definitely going to be more to it.
We're going to need a much lighter note, I think.
I know. If you're ever injured, contact Lisa right away at hireaheavyweight.com.